Welcome to the first edition of the Big Lip Radio Game Room. In this video series that I'm putting up on our YouTube channel for Big Lip Radio, we're going to be reviewing video games. We're going to review classic stuff, modern stuff, just about anything I want to play and review. And the first game we're going to review, no surprise to anyone who knows me, Road Rash for the Sega Genesis. Now for this review, I used my Retro Station and an Elgato capture card along with a Gamers Tech Mini Gen HD. I've pimped Gamers Tech before. I'm a big fan. I like their products. They're very reasonably priced, and the performance is great. So you're going to want to check that out. So let's get into it. My very first Genesis game I ever played was Road Rash. I had a Model 1 Genesis. I don't even remember where I got it. I was out of the Navy for probably a year and 3 months. And I was really excited to get a video game system. And I got it at a flea market or a rummage sale or something. And I didn't have much money. So I rented some games from Blockbuster. I rented Pit Fighter. That was a mistake. Flashback, Echo the Dolphin, and Road Rash. I played the hell out of Road Rash. I loved it. So we're going to go ahead, sit down, and review Road Rash fully and completely. And I'll let you know what I think after the review. This game was released by Electronic Arts. And it came out in 1991 in September. Now this game, there you look, you can see all the tracks you get to ride on. There's 5 different tracks in this game, and as you level up, the tracks get harder, the bikes get faster. You got to level up your bikes. I mean, it's a whole thing. So this franchise had sequels and versions available for, of course, the Genesis, the Amiga, the Sega CD, the original Master System, 3DO, Game Gear, PlayStation, Saturn, Windows, Game Boy Color, and Nintendo 64 has got an exclusive version of Road Rash, which is pretty good. And I don't have that one yet. I can't wait to get that one. Alright, so this game came out on the 16-bit systems. And look at this. This is cool. You're really maxing out, especially for the time, the scaling and rotation of the Sega Genesis. Look at that. I pushed the bike right there, dodged that car. Look at all the sprites in the screen. All the sprites in the rearview mirror ×2. Not a bit of slowdown. This game has got hills, and it's got backgrounds. It's got parallax scrolling for the clouds. Oh, and there you are. You hit the car, so you got to get up. And unlike most racing games, you don't just show up on the road again, blinking, and off you go. No. You got to run to your bike, pick up your bike, and start going again. Now here in these first rounds, it's pretty easy. You can crash a few times and get knocked off your bike and still come in first. Look at that. There's another one. And look at that car. Push my bike. It's like that car's a dick, man. Why are you pushing my bike? So now I got to run all the way down the street to get to my bike. Alright, now I'm back on my bike. Narrowly avoid the car. Now listen to that music. Awesome Sega Genesis music. It's not the best the system has to offer, but it's very much the flavor of the Sega Genesis. Sound effects could be a little bit better. Screeching of the tires doesn't sound a lot like screeching. Some of the hills you'll even get air on. Then you get a nice little scene. It's unique to whatever track you're riding on. Notice now the background's completely different. It's not like the mountains are reshaded. They're all new mountains. And granted, your frame rate's probably 12 frames per second. Maybe 15 at the outside. And look at that. You're coming up on this pack of bikers. And you've got bikes in the rearview mirror times 2. And all these bikes in front of you. Oh, look at that. Barely miss those signs. And though the frame rate isn't great to begin with, it doesn't dip. Look at the parallax scrolling in those clouds. Just the details they thought to put into this game. Now, if I have a gripe, albeit a minor one, it's the fact that all the bikers, made it up to 5th place. All the bikers look the same, and that's kind of crappy. And not only that, but look at the password. You want to save your password? Look at that password. You better have a long piece of paper and a fresh pencil to write down all that stuff. Now, I turned off the music because you can't have music and engine noises on at the same time. I don't know if it's a hardware limitation or a design choice. Not real sure. And I don't remember if Road Rash 2 and 3 are the same way. We'll find out. But it's horribly irritating. The first time I turned off the music, because when I play a racing game, I like to experience the game. So usually the first thing I'll do is I'll crank off the music, so that way I can experience the game. The first time I cranked off the music in this game, immediately I regretted it. I mean, how irritating is this noise? But it just drones on. Look at that air. Oh, you see me throw that guy right in front of that car. It is a blast. Now, not only that, but I like it when computer-controlled characters can interact. Look at those 2 bikers up ahead. They both hit that car. Now, prior to this, your opponents in racing games were infallible. They were perfect. But to have your opponents actually make a mistake and crash was kind of novel back then. And Need for Speed on the original 3DO did the same thing. And it was pretty cool. It was a good setup. And 16-bit racing games in 16-bit were kind of sketchy. Now, I'm a huge racing game fan. Okay, now I turned the music back on because I couldn't deal. Can't deal with the engine noise, the drone of the noise. So I put that wonderful Sega music back on. And racing games back in the 16-bit era, especially if you're a racing game guy like I am, you had some decent attempts. Hang On was really decent. Hang On was every bit as good as this is as far as the racing goes. Or you had top-down racers like Micro Machines and stuff like that. 3/4 racers like Rock and Roll Racing. But really, true 3D racing, every once in a while you'd have somebody try polygons. Race driving and hard driving come to mind, and neither of them are very good for the home systems. But to have a machine that would scale and rotate sprites the way this Genesis game is doing was pretty rare. Now, as you get on in the game and you start making money, you're going to have to buy a faster bike, because the bike you're running isn't going to compete. It's not going to make it. So you got to juice up your ride a little bit. And here I am. This is the most expensive bike I can afford. So I'm going to assume it's the best. So here I am in a nice hot pink and white crotch rocket. Well, hey, none of these are Harley Davidson, so it's not like any of them are all that manly. They're all race rockets. You get up into the 3DO and PlayStation, and now you got some Harleys or cruiser-inspired bikes to deal with. And that makes it a little bit better. But look at those mountains in the background. Those aren't just, you know, reskinned earlier graphics. You'll notice now that I'm up, the bikes are different colors. The bikers are, you know, I mean, they're all the same color, but it's a different color than it was. And now the game's moving quite a bit faster. Look at the barns. Look, that's a blue car instead of a white or a yellow one. So you get a little bit of variety. It's really novel, the fact that you have to run to your scooter. And yes, it is entirely possible to go flying across the finish line. Oh, now watch this. You get run over by the other traffic. What the hell is that about? I need to know what safety gear that boy has on, because I could certainly use it for my commute to work. Because he's just back at it, hard as ever, fine and dandy. Cows at the side of the road. This game's got everything. Look at that air. Now in this game, the other guys will have clubs. Sometime, if you time your punch right, when they go to hit you with the club, you can snag the club away from them. Ooh! And now you got the club. But then they can snag it right back. Oop. Just past the cop. And yes, there are cops in this game. And if you crash with a cop around, ooh! Look at that bike fly. If you crash with a cop around, he will bust you and take some of your money. If you don't have enough money to fix your bike and pay your fine, that's when the game's over. So keep that in mind when you spend everything you got on that next level bike. You better not get pulled over, or it's game over, Jack. Look at that air. Telephone poles, trees. Made it up to number 4, fourth place. Oh! Skid through all of that. Lost a lot of speed, but I didn't crash. And there's a cop. O'Leary! So, what did I think of Road Rash? 4.5 out of 5. Road Rash is a franchise for Sega that stands among its tops with Sonic and Phantasy Star, Fruits of Rage. If you were a Genesis fanboy in the 90s, and I was, this is a big reason why. So thank you guys very much for checking out this video, and hit the subscribe and like button, if you will, and support the show. Speaking of supporting the show, why don't you go to BigLipRadio.com and check out our Patreon page. We've got 3 different levels, and we've got exclusive videos, we've got exclusive podcasts, we've got all kinds of cool stuff you're going to want to check out if this kind of stuff is your deal. So check us out, and we will see you soon with a review of Road Rash 2. Thank you.